Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. While it was previously reported that WWE had no immediate plans for Veer Mahan, he would reunite with Sangha to reform his tag team on NXT. As the Observer pointed out, that I kinda heard that they're going to bring Indus up to the main roster as a team. Talking about Vince McMahon retiring as chairman and CEO of WWE, Rob Van Dam said this about returning to the company on Rene Dupree's podcast. Do I like that Vince is no longer with WWE? No. I personally don't think there's anything in it for me because Vince was a friend and there's no reason for me to believe at this point that the current guy that's running things has any more interest in me than Vince did. For those reasons, just from my selfish perspective, I think it was better for me when Vince was there. When they're in town, I don't even know who to visit. If they were in Vegas, if I stopped by normally, it would have been to see Vince, maybe Booker T, maybe Paul Heyman if they were there, maybe even Johnny Laurinaitis. Not so much that I would go there just to say hi to him, because he's political like everyone else. With Austin Theory losing to Kevin Owens on Raw last week and being beaten down by Johnny Gargano after, Jim Cornette noted on his podcast how Theory may have upset a higher-up. The one undisputed thing that poor billionaire Vince was doing when he lost his mind was trying to push Austin Theory and make him one of the next top guys. He was the hand-picked protege of the chairman. He was in all the promos. Even if some of the creative was caca, they were trying. Apparently, Austin Theory has pissed somebody off. I don't know what the issue is, especially Triple H being more inclined to push guys that can work and look like stars, more serious, and less of the goofy stuff that Vince was into. Theory can't beat a rug no more. Something's going on. Either just because there's backlash because he was Vince's guy, or he pissed somebody off. Nobody that has any knowledge of pro wrestling can overlook that this guy's work is tremendous for his age, and his personality and promos for his level of experience of being that young. Something else is going on. As it was rumored that AEW stars had asked for their release along with Malachi Black, the Wrestling Observer's Ryan Frederick would report that Miro does not want to go back. The only guys that really want to go back are the ones who have significant others with the other company. Talking about a few stories emerging backstage in AEW regarding former women's champion Britt Baker, Brad Shepard revealed on the Wrestling Informer show, "I've been hearing about Britt Baker and her locker room behavior with the women, and a lot of women in AEW don't like her. She's very rude. She's backstabbing. She's doing the political game. So she was just rude to everybody and had a lot of heat amongst the women in the AEW locker room. They, at one point, had gone to Tony Khan complaining about Baker, and he basically sided with Britt. One of her biggest deals has been her sort of real-life dislike of Thunder Rosa. That's a very real thing. Thunder Rosa has been off, and if you only believe it's because of a back injury, then I got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you. There are a lot of problems with Britt Baker in AEW, and a lot of people are puzzled by the push of Britt Baker, what they're doing versus what they're doing with Thunder Rosa. They have actually gone out of their way to make her look pretty weak and really bad. There's a lot of drama in the women's locker room, and a lot of it stems around Britt Baker." Sticking with Cornette, he had this to say about former WWE star Paige making her debut for AEW last week. "As soon as the word Saraya came up on the screen, the place went ballistic. I don't even know if they would have cheered if that happened in a WWE building, because none of the WWE fans would have known probably what Paige's real name was. Well, maybe the most devoted. But these fans, they are the smart ones, and they knew it was Paige, and boy, the place comes apart, and the heels bail out of the ring, and the fans go crazy. crazy. Paige walks into the ring, smiles at the people, and that was it. If she has been cleared to wrestle, then why did WWE let her get away? She's not with Alberto Del Maniac anymore. She's not having public meltdowns. So if she was cleared to wrestle and could wrestle, how did WWE let her get away? You would have to be a complete lunatic to sign a wrestler under those circumstances without having them check to see if they can wrestle. So what's going on here? I'll tell you another thing. If Paige was paying close attention to that match, she's got to be thinking, holy, this is worse than a shoot. I don't want to get involved with these people. When asked about profanity being used in pro wrestling, AEW commentator Jim Ross said on ad-free shows that as long as the storylines and character development are based in some degree of logic, you have to position talent to some degree that he or she can best identify with the audience. It sounds simplistic. It really is, quite frankly. I thought WWE, at one point, I was there and part of it, tried too hard to become PG and appease all the advertisers. I think you just have to use common sense. We had a string in AEW where there was a lot of controversial language. I think you'll see less of that. It's unnecessary and shows a lack of creativity if you can't come up with an adjective or an adverb that is better than something a little coarse. The times are going to dictate that. With a screenshot circulating that Triple H called Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland about a WWE return, Andrew Zarian took to Twitter to point out that he never reported this. Keith Lee would react to that screenshot writing, "I am fascinated that such a thing was stated/reported. No one knows my personal business in any capacity, and I certainly have not spoken with whoever those people are. My advice would be to ignore outlets that merely use names to make up stories. Read a book instead." While it was reported that Malachi Black was given a highly conditional release from AEW, he has taken to Instagram to dispel this notion, making it clear he is returning to the company, even claiming the report of him having more than 4 years on his contract is inaccurate. With this in mind, it's not surprising that the AEW president won't be granting any releases, as Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio. Nobody is getting released. That's the doctrine. Tony Khan made that very clear in the last couple of days. So now he's not getting released. Buddy Matthews isn't getting released. Now they may be back sooner than before, or whatever. You know the situation. They were both wanting to go and find a way out, but that's the decision that was made. I mean, it's not to say it's hard and fast and there will be no way and nobody's getting released, but I think it's pretty much the deal that if this happened in the other company, would those people get releases? And the answer is no. They signed a contract, and so basically now their option is to sit at home, and he can extend the contract if they sit at home or wrestle. So now they're gonna wrestle. It's kind of a weird thing because he waved goodbye and now he's back. And I'm sure he's gonna blame me, but that's what happened. No release. With an update on WWE's new designs for some of their championship belts, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said, "Those that we've spoken to claim that there are at least 3 new sets of title belts that are finished and currently in hand by WWE. Belt fan Dan highlighted a couple of those as new tag belts. Dan noted they're the existing design with a black strap, dual plates, and a big WWE logo in the middle of them. He also stated there are old, never used tag team titles, which look like the women's tag titles on colored straps. WWE sources also indicate that other design alterations have been mentioned, though we didn't get much elaboration on that. Several WWE talent we've spoken to of late have said they've been in favor of some changes to title belts personally. We've asked about Velcro versus snaps, and several of the talent said that the Velcro helps them when they need to attach the belt quickly, but cosmetically, it looks bad. Those that we've spoken to said there were already plans in motion to utilize some new designs before the huge WWE regime change. However, Triple H hasn't exactly been shy about changing things, and we're told that has largely accelerated some things. We've heard that additional cosmetic changes to things across Raw, SmackDown, and NXT could also be on the horizon. We've already seen logo changes on NXT. Speaking about a dream genre of movie types to have a role in, Sasha Banks told the New York Post, "I just finished watching the Squid Games and I'm a huge fan of Korean movies. So I would love to be in a show like that, just that thriller, drama, really intense show where you really don't know what's going to happen. And to be in a Korean movie, that's always been one of my dreams. I'd love to be in a movie one day. It could be any genre. I'm just excited to learn and do it all. I have so much time." With him not having been seen since his reported backstage brawl between the Elite, former AEW champion CM Punk was photographed with a fan as he is wearing a brace on his arm following his apparent surgery after being injured during his title bout at All Out. Taking to his Undisputed podcast, former AEW star Bobby Fish, who recently made a debut in Impact Wrestling, noted how he was hurt by rumors made up about him, seemingly referencing a report of Fish asking Colin O'Reilly to leave AEW and join him in WWE. Guess what, boys? After over 25 years in the wrestling business, I don't know how contracts work myself. What was most troublesome and amusing at the same time was how many outlets picked up on. If there's anybody who knows that it's totally fabricated information, it would be me, Adam, Kyle, and Triple H. The people they're talking about, who didn't do any of the things. None of it is real. Even people like Jim Cornette picked it up and commented on it. Jim and I always had a great relationship. If I'm being honest, Jim hurt my feelings a little bit by believing some BS about me so easily. It is what it is, but that's what sucks the most about it. The people that write this stuff, there is no checks and balances, there are no ramifications when you are in the wrong, and they will continue to write whatever they're going to write, and it gets picked up by whoever. The fact or fiction line doesn't matter, and the whole thing is absurd. I appreciate the fact that AEW did what they did. It is no favor to me, it's just the truth. There is no favor needed. Let's just all tell the truth. In some unfortunate news, former ring announcer for Women of Wrestling Dan Masters has passed away, as Jack Ford took to Twitter writing, "Sorry to hear about the loss of Dan Masters due to an automobile accident in El Salvador. He was a wonderful young man and gone far too soon. For those that follow WoW, he was the ring announcer there. Rest in peace, brother." Talking on WWE's The Bump, Goldberg was asked about the dominance of Roman Reigns. The WCW legend noted that, "I don't have any matches left on my contract, but I know one way I can take care of it. I do need to give him a receipt for that little chokeout in Saudi Arabia, but I think that there are a number of superstars that are capable of dethroning him, most definitely. It's got to be the right time, the right place, and it has to be one-on-one. And that's tough because nowadays with the Usos, he's got a built-in bodyguard system working out pretty well for him. I think Brock Lesnar has the opportunity to do it when he comes back, but like I said, I think there are a number of people on the card, on both shows, both programs, that have the potential to beat him, but it's got to fall into place. I mean, he's very dominant. We've seen that over the past year or longer, and it's going to take that special person to come out and dethrone him. I think, like I said, there are a couple of people that are more than capable of doing it. It's been a long road, no question about it, and to the fans, you mean everything to me. The young ones, the old ones, the in-between ones, the guys, the girls, the black, the white, the green, I don't care who you are. I couldn't be who I am without you, and I will be forever grateful for the rest of my days. And my days aren't done yet. My days may be numbered, but my days are not over with yet. I've got a monstrous garage and gym being built behind me in the frame that will be done in about a month, and if you think I'm not going to be living in there for the rest of my life, preparing for what's next, you're crazy." With Kevin Dunn being considered a Vince McMahon guy, some assumed that he would no longer be producing television for WWE. Now, PW Insider has reported that for the many who have asked about the status of Kevin Dunn in WWE, there is nothing to the rumors making the rounds on Twitter and elsewhere that he has left the company. Dunn's status is 100% unchanged with WWE, and anyone who is claiming otherwise is 100,000% incorrect in their claims. As Finn Balor, leader of the Judgment Day, continues his feud with Edge and Rey Mysterio, it's been said by WrestleVotes that I'm told that significant plans are lined up for Finn Balor in the future. I don't know exactly for what those plans are, but he is a strong favorite of the new leadership group. Expect Finn to play a big role in the foreseeable future of WWE. Providing a reason for his absence from WWE programming, Bobby Roode gave an update on his health writing, heading home after what is hoped to be a successful trip to Birmingham, Alabama. Big thank you to South Lake Ortho and Andrews Sports Medicine for taking great care of me this week, especially to the first-class medical staff of Dr. Michael Ellerbush, Dr. Andrew Cordover, and Dr. Charles Carnell. In an update on a doctor no longer with WWE, Brad Shepard reported on Unleashed that a source in WWE told me Dr. Chris Amann's employment appears to have been terminated this week, according to an internal document. Dr. Amann was WWE's senior ringside physician, and more famously, was the doctor named in the CM Punk lawsuit. Speaking on his drive-thru podcast about SmackDown from last week, Jim Cornette talked about Lacey Evans losing to Liv Morgan. Who did Lacey Evans piss off? That is my question, because I don't know that I've seen a more talented female performer booked in such ridiculous ways ever from any company. What are you supposed to think about her? They had her do those promos. Again, part of this I'm sure was Vince, and some weird Vince idea that he had. They had her do the promos as the abused child, the military hero, and a determined young woman, which all led up to her being a heel for some reason. She's great as a heel, but now they are using her as cannon fodder for this Liv Morgan experiment of trying to make people believe that Liv Morgan is now, or ever has been, or should be, a professional wrestler. During an interview with WAZ, Ludwig Kaiser was asked about rumors of Vince McMahon previously planning on burying Gunther on the main roster, as he responded, "I don't know anything about the rumors. It's also usually the case that we don't let it get to us like that. From our side, we've been totally satisfied since we started on SmackDown. We've had a great reception there. The feedback has been positive right from the start. We can't complain about our TV time either. When you look at what we've done in a few months, even with Gunther's Intercontinental Championship title, it speaks for itself. Of course, there are always rumors here and there, but a lot of it is just not true." Talking about Adam Cole suffering a concussion in AEW, Disco Inferno accused the promotion of not informing the public about head trauma to their talent, saying on Keeping It 100, unreported concussions too, by the way, there's gotta be, because these guys are constantly, you're watching these matches, and I'm not just like, there's no way. We know how little it takes some time to get your bell rung. These guys are kicking each other in the head constantly, and I know they're pulling it, you're not trying to kick the guy like really hard, but I mean you can't really pull it enough to have it never ring your bell, and nobody's putting their hands up to protect themselves on the kicks, so it's like there has to be a lot of getting your bell rung. With Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks suspended from AEW following their backstage brawl with CM Punk from All Out, it seems they may have to wait for legal action to return. For the Wrestling Observer newsletter, it was noted that, regarding the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, they all hadn't heard anything from the company, at least as of a few days ago. The company hasn't and won't address anything regarding pretty much anything these days on these type of subjects, but the belief is that their situation is on hold, pending potential legal action, which, unless cleared up, could delay things for some time, and there's also a second holdup that hasn't been made clear. Sticking with the Observer newsletter, an update was given on Randy Orton, who has been out of action since May and is not expected to be back for the rest of the year, with it said that there is a lot of concern regarding Orton's back injury and its severity. While Brock Lesnar is apparently booked to wrestle at Crown Jewel, according to Ringside News, the Wrestling Observer's Dave Meltzer pointed out that the only US show the Beast is booked on currently is for next year. As he said, a decision will be made this week regarding the date of the Day 1 pay-per-view. Right now, the show was scheduled for January 1st at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. There is talk that it could be changed, and the announcement would be made next week if that's the case. Although, we were told that either way, it would remain at the building. Also, as of right now, Lesnar is scheduled on that show, which is the next US show that he's being listed for. with AEW putting out a tweet commemorating Sammy Guevara's TNT title win over Miro a year ago, which was the latter's first singles loss in the company. Miro would respond writing, "You don't even have the balls to at me." As Miro has not been seen since All Out and hasn't wrestled on Dynamite in months, it remains to be seen what is next for him. Talking on Last Word on Pro Wrestling, former WWE star Lana, who is married to Miro, talked about potentially signing with AEW. "I truly believe Miro and I are a great package. Wherever we go, we both love, above anything else in wrestling, the storytelling aspect of it. We have had a great run in WWE, and I enjoy watching Miro wrestle today, just as I used to do back then. Joining him again, wherever he goes wrestling, is certainly an enticing offer for me. So that's why if I was to go there, it would be about timing and story. I know we could add a lot to an already amazing show. It could happen next week, or it could never happen. People will just have to wait to find out, and that is the best part about this business." During an interview with BT Sport, Seth Rollins was asked about his former Shield brethren Jon Moxley and his relationship with him today, as he said, "I don't talk to him as much, obviously. We have opposite schedules and different stuff, but our baby girls are close to the same age. And he's not much of a texter, like he's an in-person cat. He's not much of a texter or a phone guy, he's an in-person dude. So if there's ever a chance, when we were in Cincinnati last time I was there, I popped in the house to say hi and all that, checked in on him. I do that periodically just to see how he's doing and stuff, but I'm close with Renee Paquette, so we are always exchanging baby pictures and what is new with the kids. But yeah, never any animosity. He's great. He's at the top of his game doing his thing over in AEW, so nothing but the best. I've never, between the three of us, I can't speak for any of them, but they were closer than I was with either of those guys as friends off camera, so I assume that they are still chill. I've never heard anything to the contrary. But yeah, I've always had a great relationship with those guys." In some unfortunate news, a legend of the pro wrestling business, Antonio Inoki, has passed away to the age of 79. Many in the wrestling business as such paid their respects to the legend, one of the most important figures in the history of our business, and a man who embodied the term fighting spirit. The legacy of WWE Hall of Famer Antonio Inoki will live on forever. Rest in peace, Antonio Inoki, a pioneer in the pro wrestling industry. Inoki's influence and his achievements will live on forever in the wrestling world. He's an inspiration to all of the dreamers. Thank you, sir. Impact Wrestling would like to extend our condolences to the family, friends, and fans of Antonio Inoki. We are saddened to learn of his passing and know his legacy will live forever. The National Wrestling Alliance sends its condolences to the friends and family of pro wrestling pioneer Antonio Inoki, an NWA tag team and United National champion, and most importantly, a legend that will be remembered forever in our business and beyond. I'm a professional. Wrestlers, boxers, karate men. I will take on the challenge. Anywhere, anytime, anyone's challenge, I will accept it. I love that Corey Graves mentioned that Antonio Inoki won the WWE title, and WWE never officially recognized it. Vince McMahon would have never allowed him to say that. Triple H doing the right thing and acknowledging history. Rest in peace, Antonio Inoki. This was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.